Welcome everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Michelle Marchant Johnson, and she's a relationship coach at Love Life Coaching. And I'm so excited to have her today because today she's telling you her 3 best tips for finding real love. But before we jump into it, Michelle, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you and how you became a relationship coach.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, I became a relationship coach, like many people that are out in the world doing this work, through my own experience and my own life experience of meeting and attracting the right guy, which was not easy for me. I had a long and winding journey to love with a lot of drama, some interesting experiences, and also some fun. But I felt blocked in that area of my life, and it wasn't until I got some support and was able to discover some self-sabotaging habits, beliefs, and behaviors that I was able to make a breakthrough and meet my now amazing husband and become an ecstatic first-time bride at age 43. So we've now been married for about 10 years, and because that relationship and that experience has been so meaningful and profound for me and has brought so much joy to my life, I'm really passionate about helping other women who are on their own journey to love.
Awesome. Well, tell us your first tip for finding true love.
Yeah, so there's so many things we could talk about, but I want to mention 3 C words today as far as the tips go. And the first one is clarity. And I think it's really important for you to have the clarity about what it is you want in terms of a relationship in your life. Now, when I talk about this, I'm not necessarily talking about the big long list of all the qualities you want to have in a man, but I think there's real power in you being able to speak what you really want and own what you want. I think it's empowering to say, I want to be in a committed, loving relationship or marriage, whatever it is for you. I think there's actual power in being able to speak, own, and articulate that. And for many women, it feels hard to say that, or it feels like there's some shame around saying that, or that it might be kind of embarrassing or come across as desperate. But I actually believe owning your own desire and having clarity around it and being able to speak it is a first step. I think there's real power in having clarity because I think everything is created internally before it's created externally.
That is so true. You do have to become very, very clear on what you want. So what's your second tip?
So my second tip is to have conviction. So if you have clarity that you really want to have a relationship, I want you to have the conviction and the belief that that is possible for you. And that's a deep inner thing. And our self-sabotaging thoughts and limiting beliefs can prevent us from even seeing someone or seeing the possibility for love. So if the operating system, if we think of our brain, for example, or our mind as like an operating system in a computer, we don't necessarily see it, and some of these things are even on a subconscious level, but it's really running the whole show. And if the thoughts inside are thoughts of lack, or thoughts of fear, or beliefs that there's not anyone out there, or that you're not lovable, then it becomes nearly impossible to actually even see someone else or be open to someone else or to recognize the possibility for love, even if it were knocking at our door.
That is so true, and I see that happen a lot where limiting beliefs will actually sabotage someone's success at finding true love because they have it so set in their mind. And I'll just give a limiting belief that I hear a lot is, oh, there's no good quality men out there. Or whatever city you live in is like, and I live in New York City and I'll hear this a lot and it drives me crazy is, oh, there's more single women here than there are single men. And I'm like, well, yes, that is actually true about New York City, but it's a city of 8 million people and you only need one. So if you get that limiting belief in your head, you're actually blocking yourself because you're saying, well, that's why I can't meet the right man. So you actually block yourself. So Michelle is actually very, very right in that. So Michelle, what's your third tip?
Yeah, before I say the third tip, can I just add one comment to what you just
Sure.
said? I think these beliefs become excuses and we can kind of hide behind them.
Hmm.
So if we have a belief like you're saying there's not any good men in this city, and I like you, I've heard that about every city, state, or country out there.
I know.
If we have that belief, it can be something that we hide behind. So then we don't have to we don't have to put ourselves out there, or we don't have to do the work of figuring out what our inner blocks might be because it's somewhere out there beyond our control. And that's what I mean about having conviction. You have to believe that you have the opportunity to have some effect in your own life in this area.
That is so, so true. I'm so glad you added that point. So, what's your third tip?
So, my third tip is compassion. And I really think this is important, particularly for those of us that have been out there dating for a period of time. I think it's really important for us to have, first of all, compassion for ourselves, no matter what has happened, no matter what you feel like you've not done well, or whatever mistakes, real or perceived, you feel like you have made. I think it's really important for us to have compassion for ourselves as human beings and to recognize that all we've been trying to do is to get one of our deepest needs met. Next to food, clothing, shelter, and safety, one of our deepest human needs is connection and belonging and love and being loved and to know and be known. And so I think it's really important to approach all of this from a place of compassion and to also approach potential dating partners from a place of compassion. Now that doesn't mean that you have to fall in love with someone that you're not at all interested in or attracted to, but I know you and I, Suzanne, have both had clients that have seen someone through the eyes of compassion and saw them as a human being that might have something to offer. And even if that initial chemistry spark wasn't crazy out of control, once they've been able to get to know this person, they may have discovered a really amazing partner. In fact, I have a client right now, and she met a man online a few months ago, and she was initially not really super physically attracted. She had a type, like most of us do, and he was not in that type. He was a little skinnier than she wanted and that sort of thing. And her initial thought was to reject him, but he was showing up for her in such amazing ways. You know, he was taking the lead, he was being really respectful, he was being really clear that he was interested, and he had so much going for him. And I encouraged her to give him an opportunity. And she now is madly in love with him. They're planning to buy a house together and get married. And she's thanked me so many times and said, if you hadn't been there, I would have rejected him. So I just think it's really important that we approach people from the standpoint of knowing no one's going to be perfect, we're not going to be perfect, and we see each other from a place of at least giving someone an opportunity and looking past that initial, split-second decision we might make based on looks.
Well, that is so true, and I love that you shared that story because I think it's important for people to really, when you think you have a type, maybe your type isn't your type, and maybe that's why you haven't met the right man. So these have been some great tips. So Michelle, tell our audience how they can find you.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. And one last thought about this, the chemistry does not always equal compatibility. Some of the most difficult relationships I had, and I know many will relate to this, were relationships where the chemistry was great, but there wasn't other aspects of compatibility. So it could be tricky. So just keep that in mind. Again, approach it from compassion. And yes, please find me at lovelifecoaching.com. You'll get 7 attraction principles, and you'll just enter your name and email address there. There's some additional tools and resources, and we can stay in touch.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you like to get our free ebook on the 3 secrets guaranteed to attract any man based on scientific research, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.